I was in my room, feeling that warm, anxious feeling in my stomach and an insatiable desire occupying my thoughts. Yes, you heard me right. I was in the mood for male company, the kind that makes us think bolder thoughts. But what do you do when you're in your room and your 21-year-old nephew is sleeping right there with you? Well, if you're like me, you opt for the most tempting and exciting route. So, full of courage and maybe a little madness, I decided to go after what I wanted. But where did I direct my gaze? Guess what? At my nephew. There I was in my room, watching him with a mischievous smile. What was I planning to do? That I was about to find out. I gently tapped him on the shoulder to wake him up, and when he opened his eyes, I said that I had heard some noises outside and asked him to go check what they were. But, in reality, that was just an excuse for him to get up. My plan was going perfectly well. He got out of bed worriedly, and I had a mischievous smile. Slowly, he got up without making any noise, as if he were in forbidden territory. And, in a way, he really was. He was wearing a sweatshirt and I saw that bulge in his pants that made my skin crawl. He left the room quickly, adding a touch of drama to the situation. His eyes quickly adjusted to the darkness, and I watched as he walked towards the door, as if he were looking for someone. He woke up with the excuse of strange noises outside, but he knew it was just an excuse to get out of bed. And look, it worked. There he was, walking down the hallway as if he were the protagonist of a movie. His bare feet touched the floor softly, trying not to make any noise. Each step was a small victory, a triumph over the silence of the night. He felt like a movie hero, even though in reality he just wanted to understand what was happening outside. My nephew looked out the windows, as if he were looking for something that not even he knew what it was. He came back with a somewhat confused expression and told me that he hadn't seen anything out of the ordinary. After a moment of silence, he decided to go to the bathroom. I took the opportunity to turn on the light in the room and sat on the bed, thinking about my plan. Should I do this? Could my nephew want the same thing I did? I lay down on the bed and sighed, wondering if I should continue with my game or let things follow their natural course. Before I could decide, I heard a noise coming from the bathroom, a strange sound, almost like a whisper. I quietly got out of bed and approached the bathroom door, curious to know what my nephew was doing there. I was going too far. My hormones were raging, and my mind began to wander down dangerous paths. I tried to calm myself down and convince myself that it was just my imagination. I decided to go back to bed and give him some privacy. So, I curled up under the covers, trying to think of anything other than what my mind insisted on projecting. A few minutes, which seemed like an eternity, passed as I fought my thoughts. Then I heard the sound of the bathroom door opening and my nephew coming out. I tried to remain calm as he approached the bedroom. "I'm not sleepy anymore," I said with a forced smile, inviting him to stay awake with me. "Do you want to keep me company while we have breakfast?" My nephew accepted my offer with a smile, and we went to the kitchen together. In the kitchen, while we prepared breakfast, I tried to calm my hormones, but the tension there was stronger and I could feel my heart beating faster than usual. I tried desperately to focus on anything other than these thoughts. After breakfast, we sat at the table and talked about whatever came to mind. I tried to keep the conversation as light as possible, but my hormones were still raging, and every time my nephew smiled at me, I felt a tickle in my stomach. Ever since my nephew was younger, I noticed something different in the way he interacted with me. His long glances and gentle gestures carried a meaning that seemed to go beyond family affection. For a long time I tried to ignore them, attributing these attitudes to a moment of youthful confusion. As the years passed, these glances did not disappear. On the contrary, they intensified, and I, even though I was uncomfortable, maintained my firm stance, avoiding any kind of approach that could foster misunderstandings. It was my obligation as an aunt and a family figure to set clear limits. However, one quiet morning as we went for a walk together, I felt that tension in the air again. It was not just the atmosphere. It was the weight of the words he did not say, but that were evident in the sparkle in his eyes. I did my best to keep the conversation on neutral topics, trying to distract my mind from the silent insinuations that seemed to hang in the air. I could not resist and took the conversation to a more spicy tone. My nephew noticed that the conversation was getting heated, and we began to give in to each other. We began to feel affectionate, rubbing our legs, him grabbing my blouse over my bra, warm kisses, lots of making out, holding each other, the smell of love emanating from us. We decided to go to a more private place, a motel, and we continued our makeout. He had the iron up, pointing it at me. I was crazy with love. We did everything that afternoon. He ironed me in several places on my body. I taught him some positions that I like, and I drank a lot of his milk. It was an unforgettable and sensational day. We did it whenever we could be alone together. It was a frenetic makeout, a crazy thing. My nephew made me climb the walls. It was a tool of respect that he has. And so we stayed like that for a few months. Throughout our lives, we all face moments of weakness, where loneliness or neediness can make us question our own certainties. But there, faced with situations that challenged ethical and moral limits, the line between right and wrong had to be insurmountable. These reflections are necessary because our actions have the power to impact not only our lives, but also those of everyone around us. I chose, therefore, to make it clear to myself that respect for family, values, and trust should be non-negotiable. Experience has taught me that desires and temptations should not always guide our decisions. Instead, it is responsibility and empathy for those around us that should guide our path. Thus, I transformed any confusion or hesitation into an opportunity to learn, to reaffirm my commitments, and to preserve the harmony and integrity of family relationships. So, I decided to end this romance with my nephew because we were going too far. So, do you think I did the right thing? Tell me in the comments what you would do in my place.